Brad and Dr. Eric, and you guys were on the 8 Weeks Wellness Corporate Scaling Key Corporate Challenge webinar. So we're going to be talking a lot about how we're implementing the challenge into our offices, and the best way to do that is to have you go through this program. So Brad, I know you wanted to say a couple words before we get started going through the actual challenge itself. So I'll turn this over to you. Brad, can you hear me? Maybe I won't turn it over to you.
I don't know if Brad's on there yet. I can hear you.
Yeah, I think he is, actually. I see him, but maybe he's having a hard time with his audio. All right, no big deal. We'll get started without Dr. Brad. If he patches in, then we'll talk to him. Selika, make sure that if you're on, that you've started the recording so we can get this to any offices that weren't able to be on today. But I want to thank everybody for being on this webinar. I think you guys are going to be thoroughly impressed with what we go over in the next 45 minutes to an hour. Like I said, I'm on with Dr. Eric, who I owe a huge debt of gratitude to, because a lot of the things that you're going to be looking at today were his brainchild. And, so kind of necessity always comes out of need. So what we've created has come out of a need that we see in the marketplace. As I've told you guys before, we work pretty closely with a couple insurance benefit coordinators. One who actually just I talked to today, who's setting up 2 paid talks for us, one local and one in Connecticut, believe it or not. So, this is I just think this is a great opportunity for offices to get involved with doing something that can have a significant impact for corporate and also for our office in the chiropractic profession. So basically what we're going to do is we are going to administer this corporate challenge to you, to your offices and your staff, just like we would do it in a corporate environment. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that what I've learned in running 8 Weeks to Wellness in our practice, and I'm sure Dr. Eric would agree with me, and now being intimately related with 8 Weeks to Wellness as well, is that the accountability, and the engagement is really the most important thing. If you're not engaged, if you're not being held accountable, the fact of the matter is that we are all busy. We all have things that take up our time. So if we're not held accountable to do the things that we know we ought to do, the bottom line is we're not going to get them done. And so we're going to go through this program, but we can't do the program for you. We can't do the program for your office. It's something that you're going to have to really be a little bit organized. We've given you all the tools, but you're going to make sure you have to follow through not only with you, but also with your office so that they see the importance of this. Okay? So, Eric, what I was going to do is pull up the initial email. So basically, guys, we have 25 offices that have committed to doing the beta testing in the beginning. So these 25 offices are going to need to get us the lead doctor's name, and also need to get us any participants who are participating in the program. So step number 1, if you're taking notes, is make sure that you get Selika, and Selika will send out an email so that you can just reply back to her so that she can have all of the relevant information for your staff. And basically what we need is first name, last name. We're going to need their email address so that we can deliver appropriate emails through the challenge. And we'll explain we're going to have a biometric component to this. It's not going to be really involved, but it's going to be a way that we can measure progress of how you and your staff are doing. Again, I believe if something's worth doing, it's worth doing well, and gets measured, gets managed. So if we have biometric stats on you, at least basic things like where we're going to measure waist to hip, BMI, and a couple health satisfaction surveys, we'll be able to see some general ideas of how you did on the program if you were really engaged. Okay, and again, the bottom line is you can't expect other people to do something that you're willing to. So if we're not willing to commit to this, not only as a person, but as a physician staff, and then, eventually as a profession, I really don't think we're going to move the needle too much. So what you're looking at now is the 8 Weeks to Wellness Corporate Challenge site that we created. So as you can see, the URL is 8wwchallenge.com. If you're taking notes, please make note. And Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, but the username that everybody's going to use is wellness, and the password is going to be wellness. Is that correct?
Yeah, for the beta, it'll be wellness and wellness. And right now, for this first week for everybody, the access to the site won't be integral, but you can definitely log in and just kind of pick around a little bit. We are changing up some back end. And one of the hardest things, I'm not sure if anybody's ever built a website, it's dealing with designers and different inputs. And we're still, really doing a lot of work in the back end to get this thing, real pretty. But yeah, wellness will be your username and password.
Okay, and it's like most things, Eric. I don't think unless somebody tried to create what we're trying to create and in all of its magnitude And again, we want it to be scalable. In other words, we want it to be something that's very doable for the employee, but it's also very professional looking for the corporate HR person who's going to be paying for this. So we spent a lot of time and hired the right people, so this really looks professional. But your username and password, again, you're going to go to8www.challenge.com. You may want to go there right now. You're going to type in wellness for your username, and your password is also going to be wellness. And we'll just log in quick here so you can kind of see what the main page is. Once the employee has access, or once you have access and your employees have access, this is what they're going to see. Now, even this we're changing up a little bit in its final. We're probably, 90 to 95% complete on the website now. We're just changing up little things here and there. But what you're going to see is the resources for the program, such as the 8 Weeks to Wellness Challenge orientation video. I'm going to show you in just a second that when an employee signs up for the program, they're going to initially get an email that's going to have a quick start guide for them. And part of that quick start guide is going to be them watching the orientation video. One of the things that we found important in running 8 Weeks to Wellness is there's always two things that a patient needs to do to get started with 8 Weeks to Wellness in our office. And both things are extremely essential. In other words, we don't even let them start the program unless they're willing to commit to these two things. The first one is they have to attend an orientation. We do our orientations for 8 Weeks to Wellness the first and third Thursday of every single month. So everybody in my office knows at 7:30 on the first and third Thursday of the month, we'll be doing an orientation for the program. And then the second thing is they have to do their examination. And in our office, we do a wellness score. If you're using the wellness score software from Cash Practice, you know what we're talking about. It prints up a beautiful, beautiful report of their physiology. And so it really shows them the need of why they need to do the program. You know, so when they see the colors and their overall wellness grade, which, by the way, most people are starting off at F and Ds because their physiology is so messed up in the beginning. But those things are integral to the program, and they're going to be integral to doing this as well. And I think, you know, again, no engagement, no involvement. And engagement to me is about learning the whys behind the whats, and that's what they're going to get in an orientation video. You can also see that they'll be able to view their manual. And so I'm just going to click on this for a second, because the way we created this is it's going to be a virtual reader. If they just want to go on there and view the 8 Weeks to Wellness Challenge manual, they'll be able to go on and just read through this manual that we've created. It contains all the components of the 8 Weeks to Wellness Corporate Challenge. Okay?
Yeah, that'll also be available in an EPUB format for any of the Kindle users out there, PDF, which is the most universally viewed media format, and we actually are organizing it to purchase these books also. So we have a couple different options eventually for the book itself.
Yeah, we'll actually have a hard copy of the manual, just like we do in our office for the program. So let's say it's a corporation that you're working at that has a lot of blue-collar workers that don't necessarily know how to use the web. We'll have the actual manual in a binder form so that they can use that, and it's very easy to carry around. And you can see they can also download it and print it off. This is going to change a little bit here. We're basically custom creating a meditation track for each week of the program. So part of the 8 Weeks to Wellness Challenge program is that they're doing 10 minutes of daily meditation. But just to create it fresh and make it fun is we're creating a different meditation. We have a meditation expert in our office, Teresa, who's custom creating these 8 meditation tracks that, again, they'll be able to download to their iTunes, or they'll be able to download just from the computer and listen to it from the computer if they wish to do it that way. Okay. The next thing is, and this is kind of under construction right now, we've got to finish out the whole website, and the pre-training videos is going to be educational on how to use the website most effectively. So how to use the website. So in terms of moving better, we built this out so that we've scripted out the workouts into the program, and that's exactly what you're going to do as well. So based on your experience level with exercise, whether you're beginner, intermediate, and advanced, or whether you have access to a gym or not have access to a gym, you'll be given a scripted workout for each week that you'll be doing twice a week, in addition to 3 20-minute cardio sessions that we're going to also teach you how to do those so that you're ramping your heart rate up and down, and it's just not a steady state cardio exercise, which research doesn't really show as effective as an exercise where you're doing 20 minutes of cardio where you're ramping your heart rate up and down. Eric, did you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, for the Move Better portion, you know, if you're doing your current programming, we're going to program out these for you, again, based on skill level. So, you know, you have a beginner, an intermediate, and an advanced like Dane was saying, and that's really up to pick and choose. So if you don't know exactly where you're at, some of the basic criteria, you haven't worked out in 6 months or 6 years or 6 decades, you're probably a beginner. There's intermediates that go up a little bit higher. And the biggest thing about the programming for us was that it was just we involved more rep schemes, more set schemes. So the workouts are very similar, except the extent of the work that's being done for that 40 minutes to an hour is just a little greater for an intermediate or an advanced person. The discussion board, which we'll talk about in a little bit, I think we talked about last bit time too, will be a lot of the feedback will be able to be answered in there too about the programs.
And so it'll kind of look like this, guys. And again, we're still constructing this. But every time they log into their Move Better week, that portion of their challenge, they'll be giving a mobility workout. So they'll just click on that, and then it'll print up. They'll be able to download this and print it up and take it to the gym, or just download and print it up and follow along a mobility section. So again, we're really big on training movements and not body parts. So we want to give people a relevant exercise program that they can do. So this will be their initial warm-up and stretching, if you will, if you want to call it that. And then they'll print up their workout. So let's say they're doing their workout at home. Then they'll just print this workout and follow along, and all the reps and sets are listed on here as well. So I think, again, it'll make it very easy for the corporate person to be able to follow along and do their workouts at home. But the accountability comes in with the doctor who's leading the program to make sure that people are doing these. So you can see that it lists the reps, it lists the sets, and then the exercise, and they can actually make notes in here of what reps and what weight they used, if that's appropriate. Oops, wrong button.
Cool. Yeah, each one of those little camera icons that was on that PDF sheet we were looking at has video scripts of how to perform the workouts. So it gives the client an idea of if they don't know how to do a crunch, it walks them through a crunch. It's kind of cool. Plus, also, it is very, being a tech guy myself, I tried to make this as iPhone and Android friendly as I possibly could. So a lot of these are easily accessible through your smartphones nowadays. Like those videos play great on there. Your PDFs look really good. So it's cross-platformed, pretty nice.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. I think it's definitely worth showing. So if you guys see this here, I'm just going to click on this little video button, and what it's going to do is just going to bring up a video of a person actually going through that particular exercise. Yeah. So if it pulls up here.
It's absolutely smooth, the videos, because they're made with .mov, the Apple's video player of choice, so it's very much iPhone friendly. Android, you might take a little tweaking here and there, so I'm sure I'll have plenty of questions from people.
Yeah, you can see there, guys, the video of the guy doing the actual exercise. So we're trying to make it as user-friendly as possible. So that's the Move Better, and then for the Think Better, basically each week they're going to be given that weekly meditation like we talked about. So they'll have the video explaining that week's message, if you will, or that week's lesson, if you will, and then they'll be given their meditation to listen to. And then each week with the Move Better, Think Better, and Eat Better, they'll be given an action step so that they can follow along with their manual just to make sure that they're doing what they need to do on the program. And then finally for the Eat Better, again, the pre-training video is going to give them a lot of the information that we teach our 8 Weeks to Wellness clients, like, make sure that you remove all temptations from your kitchen. The biggest way to sabotage a program is if you're addicted to ice cream or chips and you have a lot of ice cream and chips in your house. It'll also script out exactly how they'll follow along and record in their log. So again, we don't believe in thinking it, we believe in inking it. And research shows that people that log in when they're doing any type of a nutrition or wellness program have literally double the results of people that don't log. So the people that write down what they're doing, plan their day, make sure they're following through on their plan, actually give it to somebody else to make sure that they're following through, have much better results, as you can imagine, because they're going to get it done. And I've found with 8 Weeks to Wellness that people will work harder for others than they will for themselves. So, they'll work harder for their spouse to get in shape than they will for their own well-being. It's odd, but it's true. So again, week 1 here, what you'll see is again, they'll have a lesson and there'll be a related resource with an action step. And for the related resource for the Eating Well, we're going to be doing recipes. Isn't that correct, Dr. Eric?
Yeah, there'll be recipes. There'll be some video blog tie-ins with that on prepping food and whatnot.
Great. Okay. So this is basically how that's going to work each week. And then what will happen is that we're going to deliver the content to them in a week-by-week fashion. So in other words, they won't have access to, they'll be able to see it on the site, but they won't be able to click on it or access week 2 until they've completed week 1. So we're building a whole gamification component to this so that they'll be able to eventually get points for every video they watch, every time that they do something related to the challenge. It will give them points so that they eventually their HR person or their employer will know that if they invested in this program for the employee, that the employee actually went and did the program. And we feel that's really, really important because, again, you know, if you're going to ask a company to pay for 50 licenses at $299 and $399 to use the program, they're going to want to know what they're investing in. And so to give them some sort of a way of showing them that their employees are actually going through the program and holding themselves accountable, I think is a huge aspect of the program that needs to be built into it. And did you want to talk about that at all, Eric?
Yeah, gamification is kind of a new concept coming around. It's about 2 or 3 years in the making. And what it does for a website like the one we're building out is it really creates a community effect because the person it really engages with it. You know, it measures how long they're on the actual site for, if they watch the videos. Eventually, we can script out small questionnaires that pop up on the screen after they view a video and says, you know, in today's resource, you know, in today's video, Dr. Dane and Eric talked about, you know, pick a multiple choice question, and it would actually be able to gather points from that, and that'll go back through. And we're really trying to make this so the person's engaging as much as they can into the program. And then eventually, what would be nice about it is you can add reward systems to it. So if the person completes week 1, they gain a badge for a week 1 badge. They get week 2, they get a week 2 badge. And let's say if they score more points that week than anybody else in their company did, then they can earn a free massage. I mean, there's a lot of ways we can start to really trick out the game part of the whole website if someone to choose to kind of interact with that.
And we're gonna build in so that whoever the corporate administrator of the program is will know if John Q, you know, employee did the actual week 1. So they'll be able to look in and log to see exactly where all of their employees are, who's completing the program, what percentage is complete. Because we know if they're engaged and they're completing the modules and doing what they need to do, checking off when they exercise, checking off when they do their meditation, that they plan their day, that obviously if they're doing the program, they're going to get the results. So we just feel that's a huge component. And by the way, you know, one of the reasons that we're doing a beta test with the 25 centers who are most engaged is because we want your feedback. You know, Eric and I have spent, and with Dr. Brad, have spent a lot of time researching what we feel is appropriate. We work really closely with a wellness coordinator and insurance benefits company, and they administer benefits for over 300 companies. So they know what their companies are asking them for as far as wellness programs. And so we are working hand in hand with her to really listen to what their needs are and build that into the program. But by no means is this a complete program. You know, the reason we're beta testing is because we want your feedback. If you think that there's an idea that can make this program better, please share it with us, especially your employees and the people that will be going through this program. You know, as you go through the program, if there's any pitfalls or stumbling blocks, you know, please let us know so that we can work out those kinks. And better yet, if you can come up with a solution to the problem, give us an idea for that as well.
Yeah, and I think, you know, with Dr. Brad, you know, into this program too. I mean, that's going to be his forte too, trying to get, you know, with those insurance brokers. I'm sure we can cover that later.
Yeah, and what basically I've talked to Dr. Brad, and what we're going to be doing is creating a whole marketing program for you guys so that you'll have printed materials and emails and videos to share with HR directors to basically give them the understanding of why they should do the challenge or why their employees should do the challenge and what the value is. So we are creating the marketing side. But remember, guys, my motto is always to attract believers, build the models, demonstrate results, and build the brand. So, you know, we're not at the build the brand stage yet because we haven't even completed the program ourselves. So once we develop this model out in its entirety, you know, 95% complete, we know that it's working because we've demonstrated results for ourselves and our own companies and our own employees. Then I'm going to feel a lot better, and I know Dr. Brad and Dr. Eric will feel a lot better taking this challenge to corporate in an environment where they're actually paying for the program. Does that make sense, Eric?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so basically in the next couple days, all of you, and that's why it's so imperative that you get your doctor's name and email and also employees' name and email to Celica so that we can get everybody this initial startup email. And this is exactly the startup email that the employee will get when they start the program. So I don't know about you guys, but usually when I buy something, you know, especially around Christmas or I buy a new toy, there's always a quick start guide because they know that guys don't read directions, right? So, and then they end up putting something together incorrectly and then have to go back to the directions. So almost everything has a quick start guide because, again, in the era that we live in, people are time crunched. They don't have the time to really be able to figure things out. So we created this email as a way to say, okay, start here. This is exactly what we're going to do. So let's kind of just review through the email. And Eric, you know what? I'm going to let you walk us through this, and I'll scroll down as we go along here. But let's start here at the introduction.
Okay. Yeah, this email will come out to the participant on the program really about a week before they're actually going to start the program, because it gives them some time to get into the mode to kind of get to the gist of it. And because, you know, the intro video alone is about 40 minutes. The book reading, I mean, all that stuff is really going to be important to kind of set the groundwork for the program. So this email is going to lay out step by step on how they're going to get there. First one, obviously, we do an introduction, just welcoming them into the program and letting them know that, you know, this is all about them. This journey, this wellness journey is all, you know, built upon stuff that we've seen work in our office and life, and it's going to rock and roll for them. The quick start guide, if you scroll down a little bit, Dane, is embedded into the email, and it can be downloaded by simply clicking on the actual quick start picture or in that little highlighted link. And it's going to have 5 major points to accomplish. So these 5 points have also active links on there to take you to the content you need to go to. Let's see when it opens up here. There it goes. So the first one we're going to do is watch that 8WW challenge orientation. Now this is an interesting one because it's time. It's 45 minutes, but I think Dane will agree with me. You know, being in the 8 weeks to wellness model for, you know, myself 4 years, and Dane obviously since the creation of it, it sets the groundwork for everything that's going to unfold over the next 8 weeks for that person. So we thought it was so vital that they get into watching that video. And I kind of put in a couple places, hey, it's 45 minutes. I know it's going to take a while, but it's really important to get there. We are actually linking this to a orientation page on our website. Currently, for you guys, it's going to go to our YouTube link, which is fine. But we definitely want you to encourage your employees and whoever's participating in the program to get, you know, set time aside, watch the video. Dane lays out a really nice, you know, understanding of why we got to this point with wellness, and you know, obviously the empowering the person to kind of really jump into this program.
And let me just say something real quick right there, Dr. Eric. This is also the orientation PowerPoint slides that we'll be giving to you so that if you want to do this orientation video at the actual corporation, you'll be able to do that. So, you know, we've done it both formats, that the doctor can deliver the orientation 45 minutes at the corporation to get people started with the challenge. That would be your initial 1 visit, or or because maybe you're going to deliver the orientation video and then they can go back and watch it for reinforcement. Or if you want to go and you're, let's say, going to do a biometric assessment and just kind of get the company started, and then you don't feel comfortable delivering the orientation, you can then send them to this quick start guide where they can do the orientation video on their own.
Yes. And, you know, one of the things, you know, logistically, you know, speaking with our HR person, you know, we're presenting sometime to 300 people. So we can't get in front of everybody in one shot. So some might get the actual live version of our orientation. Some will actually get the virtual version, which is good. Next step would be to download that manual. Again, a crucial part of the programming is getting them tied into that manual. It's everywhere for them, from the web viewer to the EPUB, PDF, which is good. In the back of the manual, if you're not familiar with the 8WW program, there is a journal in the back which tracks everything for the patient or the client.
Yeah, now let me see if I can pull that up real quick, Eric, because I think that's kind of important.
Yeah.
Because this is where the accountability part comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. So just to show you in the manual here, guys, we give them a lot of resources. I think it's just important to take just a couple seconds to show you this. This manual that we've created, we've refined this over 10 years of doing this program. So it comes first of all with a commitment, you know, that we want them to commit to the program, so they can sign that. And this is something they can tear out of their book and give to their HR director as a, you know, as it's showing of that, hey, listen, if you're going to invest in me, I'm going to commit to the program. We give them recommended cookbooks. We give them a shopping list. We literally give them different products to look for as far as dressing or beverages or rice or pasta. So we give them a lot. We also give them the most common GI, glycemic index and glycemic load of most common fruits, and tell them what they should stay under. So, you know, their glycemic index should be under 55 and glycemic load under 10, you know, to keep the sugar in their diet low. And then we give them macronutrient choices, appropriate proteins, fats, and carbs. We give them low glycemic index vegetables. We also give them recipes in the manual, so there's tons of recipes in here. So you can see that we've kind of programmed this out with the right resources. And then this is their log page, and this will be your log page as well. So when you do the program, you can record your morning meal, whether you had your ultra meal as a snack, your midday meal, and then how much water you drank that day, the type of exercise you did that day. Did you do your cardio? Did you do your strength training? How many minutes of meditation you did? Did you take your fish oils that day? Any other supplements as well? Okay, so that's just wanted to show you the manual there.
Hey, Dane, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Oh, for the love of God, don't ever get muted, people.
Welcome, Brad. Welcome. Hey, Dane, I'm not sure. I'm not sure on your end, but I'm not seeing the journal part yet on our side yet. I just see the recipes. I see recipes on our page. I don't see the journal part yet. I'm not sure if everybody's done different, because the connections might be different.
Oh, I see.
It just shows a recipe right now. No, it might be just be stuck on that. I'm not sure. Move your fingertip, that little fingertip around. Maybe it's my end. I'm not sure. But anyways, I can't see it on my end. But
I want to jump in and just say a couple things real quick because I've been listening since the start, and I know some of the docs are going to want to know how do we work with insurance brokers, how do we get this thing going. But just to give you a short answer on that, we'll do a separate call on how to market this program. We're at the stage right now where we want everybody on this call, like Dan and Eric have been saying, just to own the product, because it's going to be really hard for me to teach you how to market it and sell it and promote it if you don't even know what it is. You can't sell what you don't own. So what we really want to do is get full ownership of this program. And kind of like these guys have just been mentioning, I know for sure this is what corporate wants, and more than anything, what they really, really want are trackable, monetized ways to look at what they're saving. So they want logistics and they want analytics that they can look at. It's way past the touchy-feely point in corporate now where it's employee morale or everybody's happier with the wellness program. That's BS. They're over it. They want to be able to show what they're getting for it, and that's why we're doing this too. So we'll get there at a later call, but I can already, kind of sense chiropractors going, well, how do I do this, and what do I say? Let's not worry about that right now. Let's just understand what this phenomenal product is that Dane and Eric have put together. If you own it, it's easier to sell it. You can't sell what you don't own. And all this stuff that they're talking about, the logging and the measuring, that's huge, because if you're doing the work, they will get the results. And the minute someone isn't doing the work, then they're not going to get the results. And that's what's huge too. So as step-by-step as this is, you've got to hang in there with this. And most importantly, you've got to do this as an office, because it's real easy to tell them how to do it once you've completed it. And we really feel like we cannot put the cart before the horse. We've got to take ownership of this. So the insurance broker stuff, that's super easy, but you've got to understand what we have first.
Yeah, and hopefully, Brad, what we've talked about is that we'll eventually have a separate salesperson who will actually be able to sell this program for you. So in other words, you're a chiropractor, and you're a great chiropractor, but you may not be a salesperson. You may not understand HR. So our goal is to eventually have a well-trained, well-versed HR person who understands insurance, who understands corporate, that can sell this on behalf of you so that they truly understand the program and also understand how to work with these brokers and HR directors.
And Dane and I have been doing this for the last year with great success, and that's one of those things. I obviously saw the benefit of an insurance broker because the people, their clients are like 40, 50, 80 human resource directors are their direct clients. So yes, we can teach you how to go to one human resource director and jump through all the red tape. It's okay, it'll get you in. But even better is if we get you to a broker who's got 80 human resource directors as their clients. And now what Dane and Eric are talking about is this intro talk. That's your first exposure. So through this 8 weeks corporate challenge, you'll always have at least 3 presentations to give. You're going to build rapport, but most importantly, you're going to show results. So I'll stay quiet now.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Brad. I could see you were on. I just couldn't hear you. Okay, Eric, let's pick up at step 3, watching the pre-training videos.
Okay. Hang on one sec real quick, Dan, because I'm still frozen on the guide portion of that, so I'm going to scroll down a little bit. So step 3, pre-training videos is still under construction. Again, that's one of the pieces that Dane and I will be working on this week to get out to you guys. Again, that's part of it held up because of the back end of what our designers are doing right now for us, are reconfiguring some stuff. So we weren't going to have our videographer come out and waste our time and his time. So we'll have that shot this week as we get the design program hammered out, and that'll be up and running. The pre-trainings are important because it's going to walk through the fundamentals or the baseline stuff for that individual week. So in other words, if a person wants to move well on a Monday, eat well on a Wednesday, or think well on a Friday, or they want to do it all 3 days, all three in one day, it's really up to them. But this lays the groundwork of what it's going to entail for each part. We anticipate no more than 15 to 20 minutes on each section. So if someone's dedicating some time to it, the actual video alone is 7 minutes. And some interaction stuff and reading maybe some of the information, the resources take about 15 minutes total for that to kind of get up to that point. But the pre-training videos will be done this week for Dane and I. We were just talking about that a little while ago. The next step below that would be setting your wellness goals, I think, Dane, right?
Yep.
All right, let me see real quick. I'm going to try and refresh my page for where you guys are at so I can see where we're at here.
Yeah, I think everybody was able to see this, Eric, but I'll show
cool.
On the email here
okay.
so they can kind of see the way that we built this out.
So pop up that email. All right, good. And the next section for us is challenge goals. One of the things, just going through anything, especially part of our Think Well portion, is always just being really goal-oriented. I hope for you guys when you're speaking at these companies, you're talking about, goals in general as far as creating clarity and direction, setting up support groups. It's one of the things we lead off with is just that, unfortunately for us, in health, we don't have that. So these goals in here were adapted through workbooks that Dane has shared with us, many moons ago. And I thought it was a really integral part to get the whole thing started off with doing some goals. Obviously, I put in there in the middle part it says tempted to skip this step. Here are 5 reasons to set your personal goals. And again, it's clarity, it drives you forward, it gives you focus. I just thought it was a really important part. As a matter of fact, we were talking about Dane and I game planning a little bit before this talk about how we can have these goal sets of people are actually emailing these back and forth possibly to a coach. Or to your office, or just so we kind of create accountability part on that. And then down the bottom.
And I'm showing them here, Eric, just so you know, if you can't see, they can actually see the SMART goals in the email. So, and just so you guys know, SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable. Right? Don't set goals that are totally unachievable. Don't say you're going to lose 100 pounds in 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. R's for relevant. They've got to be relevant to your personal situation. And then T is timely. And obviously their goals are going to be timed out for 8 weeks. So, we always say you can't hit a target you're not aiming at, and it's very interesting when I do consultations with people and I ask them what their health goals are, they look at me cross-eyed because nobody's ever asked them that before, but we help set, in our office, we help set really achievable, relevant goals for them outside of symptoms. Chiropractors always wonder why their PVA isn't higher, why people don't stay on for care. Well, I believe it's because you're not setting relevant goals beyond their symptoms that they would stay for if you were just helping them to recognize that's something you can help them with.
Cool. And if you scroll down on there, I don't see it yet, but you have the photos. This is a fun one together. Photos are a huge part, and I'm sure Dane can attest to this. We don't like seeing ourselves sometimes in photos when we're not in the best of shape. So even with that being said, it's one of the best ways to see a person getting results. So individually, I recommend taking pictures. And there's an example in there of Tom, one of our patients. It's just a really good representation of wearing a light-colored outfit. Of course, he's behind a line of bottom. I'm sure they're not going to have that. But we'll maybe even try to do a little bit of a small video clip of how to take these by yourself. I mean, most even my smartphone has a timer on it. But these are really important parts, just so it gets an idea about where they're starting at. And a lot of people will be like, oh, I don't want to do pictures. And again, it's optional. But we figure it would be a good part for you guys.
And then the measurements.
Yeah, and then measurements, it's 2 important ones that we're going to look at. It's going to be BMI. I did take the time out to look up the formula for that, and I put it in there, which I never knew there was a time 703 part integer on that part. But I actually, if you scroll down even more, I did a link for directly to the CDC website. I don't typically direct anybody to a CDC website, but this one example I figured it'd be okay.
Just so they can calculate their BMI, right?
Yeah, and that's a BMI calculator. It'll pop right up through your email. They can plug it right in. And then, of course, your waist to hip is a very easy ratio of just easily waist over hip. By the way, there are my abs right there, just so you know.
Wow.
Nice,
wow,
huh?
That's pretty impressive.
Nice. I was going to include biceps, too, as a measurement, but,
Dr. Brad and I would have been crying.
There you go. So
just going back to the 5 steps, we'll finish up on waist to hip, and then we'll go back to the 5.
Yeah, and then waist to hip, I was just going to say there's another measurement tool at the bottom. Just click on that. It's going to take you out to the website for the measurements, and all the links are also on this five goal sheet too for setting your wellness goals.
Cool. So just to review this real quick, guys, and this is their quick start guide, is watching the orientation challenge video, right? Downloading their manual so they have it, or getting a hard copy from their HR director. Watching their pre-training videos so that they understand how the format is going to go for all 8 weeks. Then step 4 is setting their wellness goals, and again, having very relevant goals to them. Maybe it's getting off medication, maybe it's looking good for their daughter's wedding, whatever that goal may be. We think that's really important. And then step 5 is having the measurements and the photos, and as Dr. Brad was saying, this is where the rubber meets the road, and this is where the company wants to know, hey, listen, I don't want just a touchy-feeling program. I want to know what my return on my investment is going to be, and you'll be able to show that to them with not only the photos and the measurements, but again, think about how good somebody's going to feel. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the Body for Life books, but it's pretty impressive when people make some significant change in their overall physiology, and they have those after videos with the big smiley white face. That they're really proud of of what they've been able to accomplish. Okay, so basically what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to be sending this email out to you. And we want you to follow the 5 steps just as we've laid them out. We're going to get everybody's email, both doctor and any employees that you want to participate in the challenge. Understand that this program is $2,700 if people do it in our office, where they get all of their supplements, they get their training, they get their chiropractic care, everything in the office is laid out. And that's where we have a person who's going to be built-in accountability. So we're trying to figure out how to really create that same accountability within a program like this that's going to be more online, where you don't have direct control over the employee or the patient, but we have resources built in to help support them. And that's why we use the word high tech and high touch, because the high tech part is what we're showing you now, but the high touch part we feel is even more important, and that's the caring doctor, caring individual, the caring HR director, wellness coordinator, to really make sure that the person is engaged in the program, understands how to use it, and sets time aside. Because my motto is always, and if I were you, I'd write this one down because I use it with my patients all the time, is that which gets scheduled gets done. If it's not in your schedule, it's not important, and so you should always work backwards to say, what's important in my life? If I were to ask you, what's the most important thing in your life? Almost everyone's going to tell me the same thing. It's my family, it's my spouse, it's my relationship with God, maybe it's my work, and I would have those same things. But I hope that I'm scheduling appropriately. I hope I'm scheduling those very important rocks in first, so that the pebbles don't make it into my glass, and then I have no room left to schedule the big things. And your health absolutely has to be one of those big rocks, because without your health and your vitality and your energy, how are you going to accomplish all the other goals that you have in your life? So, Dr. Eric, did you want to wrap it up and say anything else?
No, I mean,
okay.
I almost laughed for a second. I said, oh, quick start guide. It kind of seems like it's a little bit, but I mean, that's this is the part of the programming where maybe the actual orientation part's not going to be done through the email. It'll be done at the office type program. So, for us right now, Beta, we need as much information back from you guys. So if you guys have any input, I know Dana had already spoken with a few doctors, and they already gave us some good input, and we're going to make this program rock and roll. And I'm just excited because, again, it's chiropractic wellness. It's not allopathic wellness. It's not some drug-induced wellness where simply taking your medication means you're healthy type program. So
right.
It's kind of great.
And we built that into the manual too, guys. Some of the things, again, most wellness programs don't have a chiropractic section to the manual. We've actually programmed into this program to explain about chiropractic and why we recommend it. It's not required. We have certain things that are required, like the exercise, obviously the nutrition, those are required. But we also have services that are recommended in the program. So when we talk about chiropractic, or massage, you're going to see that it's going to be something that's recommended. And so, for example, here, and Eric, hopefully you can see that, here's where it talks about chiropractic, and you can see that it's recommended. And obviously, if you're facilitating the program, guess where they're going to want to come to get their chiropractic care? I mean, that's really the whole goal. And we built this into the program to make sure that chiropractic is is an integral part of what we're doing with wellness here. Okay, so in wrapping up, what I would love for everybody to do is make sure that you understand the 8 Weeks to Wellness Challenge username and password. again, the 8WW username, the URL is 8WWchallenge.com. Username wellness, password wellness. Make sure that you get Celica, and Celica will get an email out to you so you can just reply to it. The names of the employees and your name, obviously, in email, which she probably has already. And then we'll be getting in touch with you. What we plan to do is about 3 or 4 support calls for the offices that are participating in the challenge. So we'll set up our next support call either for next week or the following week, and we'll get you information on that. And again, these support calls will be recorded if you can't attend live. But obviously, we would love for you guys to attend live, just like you did today, so that you really understand and engaged in the program.
Yeah, right. And I think for Dana, I might be speaking out, but I think they're going to be very geared towards Q&A also. Because I think it's time to get good feedback from people too.
Absolutely.
So that'd be kind of a Q&A spot for us, and get you guys going.
Yeah, and then there's obviously, with the webinars, the GoToWebinar has a component where we can actually record the question too and share those questions and answers with everybody. So I appreciate everybody being on this call. As you can tell, we're extremely excited about what we're doing. We really feel over the next year we'll be grooming this program to go to corporate and have something that we can really be proud as a chiropractic profession and as corporate skeleton key doctors and 8 Weeks to Wellness doctors, that we stick together and we really go and take our message to the public, because we know we have a great message and we know we have a great product. The unfortunate thing right now is most people don't understand that chiropractic is really for true health and well-being and not just for symptomatic eradication of neck and lower back pain. And I believe that this could be a vehicle to really show people what we're worth, but we've got to be able to deliver on the goods, and we've got to be able to do it in a way that's measurable and trackable if we're going to really be in a business environment. All right, so look for the email, guys. Appreciate you being on the webinar. We kept it to about 40 minutes, and make sure you have a great weekend. Take care.